Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're using our new stamp set called In the Garden, and we're going to make a bridge card, which is also known as a vanity card, and some people call it a U-fold card. Lots of names for this one. I'm using the homegrown pack because I thought it was perfect for that set with all the little veggies and things. So I chose the paper I want for the base. Now there are 3 main cuts you'll make for this project, and we'll have those measurements for you in the blog post as well as your score marks. But for this base, you want a piece that is 5 by 10, so that's what I'm cutting here. So I've got my base piece there. The next thing you're going to need is the bridge piece. This is the piece that goes from one side to the other of the card, and then you cut it down to make the little holder. So this piece we're going to cut 3.5 by 7, and I end up using this piece to do my bridge and this pattern paper to do my bridge, and I also use this same pattern paper for the brace. There's a little brace that goes inside. You don't see this piece of cardstock, but I thought since I had this little scrap that was the right size, we would go ahead and use it. And this brace, I don't remember the size of it. Oh, it's 4.5 by 2. Had to look at my notes. Okay, so now that we got all of our pieces cut, it's time to do our scoring. Now for this bottom piece, you're going to do 4 score marks. One at 1 3/4, one at 3 1/4. Then we're going to run out a little further to the side and do 6 3/4. And our last score is 8 1/4. Again, we'll have this in the blog post. But these are the main scores for this piece. That's all you have to do. On the bridge, we're going to score it in both directions. So we want to start here with it on the 3 1/2 side. And you want to score that one at 1 1/2. Now when you turn it, these score marks, you want to score only from the top to the score mark you just made. Okay? So you're going to go to the 1 3/4 mark and go to that middle score. And then you're going to go to the 5 1/4 mark and go to that middle score. Those are really just reference marks because we're going to use them to tell us where to cut out in just a few minutes. But you want to make sure you do that. Now I have to show you something. Do you see how I did not put this piece on my scoreboard right? The eagle eye will catch it. I was off by about 1/8 of an inch, and you'll see where that's a problem in a minute. But that little brace piece just gets scored on 1/2 inch on either end. All right, so now what you do, the innermost score, you score facing in. The outermost score, you score facing out. That's how I thought I would tell you because it'll be easy to understand. So that's on one side, and then you're going to flip it, and that innermost score goes in, and the outermost score goes out. And you see how my little watering cans are upside down right here? This is the beginning of the end. This is where the mistake happens. You know it's not a Maymay project if all the paper is in the right orientation. And this is no different. This project is just the same. All right, let's cut away some stuff. So you remember those little cut marks I told you about? Take your scissors and you want to cut that score mark down to the middle score. And then you want to cut beside it to take that little square off. You don't need those. This little flat we're creating in the middle is going to be what's going to lock our card into place. So we're just going to cut those little squares away. Now I am cutting away the score mark. You guys ask me about that a lot. I don't like to cut in the middle of the score mark. I like to actually cut the score mark away so you don't even see it. So there's that, and then we'll fold that little flappy piece down. I'm loving this little bone folder thingy. I am loving that guy. I've noticed I picked up my embossing tool again, my little beaded embossing tool, and using that guy, I love it together. All right, so your little brace, we're going to fold down those, what should be 1/2 inch scores, which I did not do correctly. You'll see where it causes me a problem, and I want to talk you through how I fix it so that if you have that issue, you'll know how to fix it next time. All right, the card. This is where we add the bridge. So that those little pieces just sink into each other like so, and you only glue this where my thumbs are. Those little behind there, you want to glue that where my thumbs are. You want to leave the middle part not glued because that's what's going to hold the card together. So here's the brace. Now if I had scored it correctly, this would have worked correctly. But what you do is you lay that brace into the middle, and then you're going to slide it down to the bottom in just a second. You want them to be flush. You'll see that I do that. Here we go. And then your little 1/2 inch flaps, you're just going to glue your little 1/2 inch flap and glue it to the card. Now again, had I not been 1/8 of an inch off, this would have worked perfectly. But because, and it's funny, going back, I can see where I made my mistake. When I was doing this, I was like, what did I do? Where did I mess up? Now I know because I'm watching the video back. So if you close it over this way, you'll add a little glue to that flap and then close it down. And in a perfect world, it'll work. For me, because I was 1/8 of an inch off, you'll see I end up having to retrain the paper. I actually will take this off. I want you to see the whole thing. I've been leaving mistakes in, and I think it's important that we realize We're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. It's paper crafting, right? We can fix things. So you'll see here I'm going, why is this not closing right? What is the problem? So I decided to remove that side and try again. In reality, if I'd have gone back and watched that clip, I'd have known that was not my issue anyway. So it really didn't fix it, but I'll show you in a minute where I do fix it. Okay, here I decide, well, I want it to stand up and it's standing up, so we're just going to move on. All right, let's glue our bridge down. So you just put a little glue just behind those flaps. You don't want to go to the middle. So you see how I'm just doing it behind the flaps there. And then we'll slide that little bridge piece in and glue it down. By the way, if you hear a little mouse in the background, it's Lydia. She's spending some time with me. For those of you who don't know, Lydia is my niece, and she has come to spend some summer time with me. So she's here making lip gloss in the background. We'll show you her lip glosses on Instagram if you want to see them. Go follow me on Instagram. All right, look, there they are, upside down. Perfect. It's my signature, y'all. That's what I've decided. That's what I'm telling myself to make myself feel better. All right, see where I'm kind of going white and this laying flat? It's that 1/8 of an inch. So here's what I do. I flatten it out. I take that tool and I just retrain that brace and everything's fine. But I wanted you to see that if that ever happens to you, just retrain it. It's paper. Just tell it, this is where I want you to fold instead of where I told you in the first place. All right, now it's the fun part. We get to decorate this guy. So you see a little bridge goes there. Obviously, we have to put a little stop to hold that down, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. All right, I'm using the big scene and the ladder from the In the Garden stamp set. I think they'll be really cute, and I decided to color them, so I'm using Memento. If I were going to stamp them with just pigment ink, I probably wouldn't even worry about using the Misty, but when I'm using Memento ink, I find that many times I need to stamp it multiple times to get a good image, and so that's why I wanted to use my Misty there. Now, I'm using my Nuvos. I love these Nuvos. I bounce back and forth between my Spectrums and my Nuvos. Y'all know I do that. But these, when I just want a straight color, I just really enjoy these. And I pretty much do kind of just a straight color job. I don't do a whole lot of blending or a whole lot of shading. I do in the background, but not so much in the actual image itself. So Timothy is going to add some music and fast forward this and let you guys watch me color, which is just riveting. No, it really is kind of cool to watch, especially in fast motion and with the music playing. Okay, so you can see that I finished coloring and now I'm going to fussy cut. Now I could use the free SVG file that comes with all of our stamp sets, which you can get at maymaymadeit.info, but I like to fussy cut. And sometimes for me it's just faster to pick up my scissors and go to town and start cutting, and that's what I did here. So I'm going to cut both of these images out and then we're going to put them onto our card. Now I decided I want these guys to live like this, just one on one side and one on the other. And actually when we designed the stamp set, I already had this in mind. I thought this would be so cute with that ladder going up the side like that. But then as I'm looking, I'm like, this needs something in the middle. And ironically, Shannon was sitting behind me filming her card, or actually not filming, making her card. And she had a piece that she did that she didn't like. She thought she messed the stamping up. And I was like, that looks perfectly fine to me. That's the piece she thought she messed up. So I decided I wanted to use it as the little piece from one side to the other. So here you're going to see me color it. I decided to just color it very simply. I don't do anything detailed at all here. And then I'm going to cut it out and put it as the piece between one bridge to the other. So there you go. Got that little guy fussy cut. And it's going to be the perfect length to do this little thing across the middle of there. I think that will be fresh. So at this point, I decide I want to use the real estate punch. So I punch out a piece that is this green polka dot, and this is going to be the piece that holds my little brace in place. And I go ahead and punch out a white real estate punch as well, and that's where a sentiment's going to live. So I'm going to load my sentiment up on my block, and I'm going to use some VersaFine here because I'm not coloring, so I'm going to go back to my favorite pigment ink and stamp the sentiment. Then what I want to show you is a way to make your punches look layered, even if you only have one punch. You know, when they're the same size, it's really hard to make them look layered, but I'm going to show you a little trick that kind of tricks the eye, and you won't notice that it's not perfect. So I want to spend a little time here. So like I showed you, I did that little green and white polka dot piece, and that's going to be my background layer. So I'm going to fold it in half, and you can do it either way. I'm doing it the long way here, but you can do it either way. You can fold it the other way and have your layers come out the side. I want my layers to come out the top. So I'm getting this fold line as my guide, and then I'm going to take my scissors and cut that in half. And when I cut it in half, it allows me to kind of stretch it from the middle. You'll see what I mean. I'm going to glue one piece to the top and one piece to the bottom, hanging over at whatever point I want it to. And when the project is finished, it feels like I had a layered kind of die piece when I didn't have that, if that makes sense. No one's going to notice that little piece. Look, no one will know. No one's going to notice that little piece in the middle where it doesn't really connect. This is an old tip I learned from a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator years ago. I always have loved Stampin' Up! Punches, and I've watched them make punch art because I'm a punch art fan. And this is an old tip that I think is fantastic. And I don't know that I've ever really focused much on it on my channel, but I think if you have that real estate punch and you want to use it in the same way, this is a cool way to do it. Plus, how stinking cute is that cherry paper on back? Okay, so you can see here that you just can't tell it. It doesn't look unfinished to me. It looks like it should be that way. So now that's going to become the piece that holds our little brace down. So what you want to do is make sure you put it in the right spot where it will hold the brace in place. And I'm going to glue those little guys across. Now the brace is going to need to be put on foam tape. The reason for that is you want it to lift off of that back a little bit so it'll hold it in, but we'll get to that in just a few minutes. It's inking time. We're going to start inking. I find that when I fussy cut images, inking them just really kind of gives them a good finished look. So I just ran around. I didn't even wet my inking tool. I just used whatever was on it from the last time I used it and inked those guys up. Now I'm going to pop them up on foam. Now this is where you have to make a decision. This is going to be a chunky card just kind of in its own nature. But I think it's fine to add this foam to make it a little thicker, to give it a little more dimension. I don't think that'll be a problem. Y'all know I kind of give myself an unspoken rule of only one layer of foam or only one layer of dimension per card. But here, I just don't think it's going to be that bad. I still technically am only doing one layer, but the fold of this one makes it a little thick. So just remember that when you're putting it in an envelope. And also, when you take this one to the post office, a good tip is to ask them to not machine this one. So you have to pay a little extra. I think it's like a quarter extra, but then they won't run it through the machine, and that's kind of what can grab things when it's dimensional. All right, so I'm going to put the foam on these guys, stick them down to the card, and we will go to our next step. Now for the little seed packets that are going to run across, I just put a little glue on either side, and just glued it from one to the other. I just love how that turned out. I think it's the perfect little piece to put there. And so it will fold flat and be perfect in the finished product. All right, I'm pushing the brace down, and I'm going to take this little piece. Remember I told you we need to put it on foam. That foam will be what creates the lock for that brace. Now, a lot of times people say, how does the recipient know to do this when they get a card? That's kind of a thing we run into. I think we should probably start adding little notes. Hey, this is a bridge card. When you receive it, press the front section down into the back until it locks under the maybe sentiment, or maybe you describe it in some way. I think we might have to do that for people, because not everybody's going to know, oh, look, it's a bridge card. And I think it's okay to tell people how they work, because I think people would rather know that they're using it correctly and get the full effect than not know. So if you have a good tip for that, tell me below how you let people know how to use your interactive cards. If you give them a note, or I don't know, maybe there's a way you do it. Maybe we should film little videos and go, if you want to know how this works, catch me out at this little video or something. All right, so we've got that in place and it's locked down and we're in good shape now. Okay, here I decide I want to see if any stickers would work. I think you could mix the stickers with the coloring, but my coloring didn't match the color of the stickers, so I decided not to sticker, but I wanted to show you that. You can totally add stickers if you want to fill space. I decided to stamp. There were so many cute sentiments on this set, and those two yellow spaces just looked kind of empty to me, so I decided to stamp. Now, I will tell you, if I was going to remake this card, I would probably do the stamping before I've done all this work, because if I did mess up or make a mistake, I kind of feel like I'd have to kind of cover that up. And if you'll make these stamps first, you'll be a lot happier. See, I'm having to hold it down and kind of get my hand in there just right. So if you're going to stamp, do it earlier. Don't do like me. Learn from me. Don't do like me. And that is it. I'm calling my card done. I really like how it turned out. It was super fun to use these images this way. And if you've watched this long, I have a favor to ask of you. Please subscribe to my channel. I love whenever you guys hit that red subscribe button. It's totally free. Hit the bell button next to it. Let me know you're enjoying my videos by giving us a thumbs up. You can also join us on Discord. It's a lot of fun over there. Great place to meet other crafters. Great place to kind of chat with each other. We even have a Bible study on Sundays over on our Discord. And that is it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, bye now.